Hey, this is Tracy Lewis with Stuff and Things, and today is Paper Pumpkin Day. I picked it up at our campground main office. Here is our spot we're staying in, and the paper pumpkin is called Hope Box, and it has words in various languages, encouraging words, words of strength, and I believe we get to decorate this box with some extra added stickers. So this is our home. It's very warm and muggy. It's so muggy that my phone, when I brought it out, immediately fogged up with wet because it's cool from being inside and very, very warm and humid out here. So back there you can see the fence line. I don't know if I've made much mention of the donkeys, but we have donkey friends. And then we also have a really cool swamp on the backside. So it's very lovely here. A little too warm, but we're managing to get disc golf in every day. In the early evening is the best heat. It's in the early, low 80s in the evening. The bugs aren't being too noisy, but they are typically so noisy you just can hardly talk over them. They're so noisy in the morning and the late afternoon. So I'm going to go inside now and get started on this month's paper pumpkin. Hey, I am back inside now and am ready to get this thing open. It's called the Hope Box, as I showed earlier. And get started on the alternatives. Oh, we have a big thing of trim. Fat. It looks like Blackberry Bliss. Yes, Blackberry Bliss. I don't know if I've ever told you guys, at least not recently, the story of the Blackberry Bliss ink. My husband made a Valentine card for me a couple years back, and he used Blackberry Bliss, which is a highly pigmented color because it's so dark. So it takes forever to dry, and I have learned to heat set it with a heat gun to make sure it's dry, because if you don't, you can easily smudge it when it's, say, 3/4 dry. And so my husband worked so hard on this card, and it had these little hearts kind of all around. It was a layered, lots of ink, lots of colors, and I immediately pick it up and smudge the hearts. So he was so sad because he'd worked so hard on it. So since that moment, we've both been very careful with the color Blackberry Bliss. This is what the trim looks like. It's like a cotton weave with a pattern to it. It's very wide. And it looks like we have a very nice, lots of sentiment stamp set. I want to see if I can find, here, we'll put it on this. Always hope, because you never know what tomorrow will bring. Just a note of hope. Hope. There is faith. Where there is faith, miracles happen. And then this is just where there is. And then there's butterflies, flowers, a small butterfly, and some splatters. All right, so I see some instructions. Put a smile on someone's face. So you're going to decorate the box. Examples of what to include in the box. So you assemble it on the outside, and then you're supposed to fill it up and also add to it. So let's see what we get in total. Oh, I see some really pretty sequins. I see card making supplies. So it's not just the creating of the box, it is also the creation of cards. So let's see what we have. So we've got dimensionals, double-sided adhesive dots. I see envelopes with some different patterns and colors. So a total of 9 envelopes with different patterns on, I believe, both sides. Yes. And then this purple has that. And then we have die cut labels in a variety of patterns. This actually is 3 sheets of 4 for a total of 12. Some watercolor wash, circles, small white labels. Looks like Tomorrow and Hope in a variety of languages. Some more splatter. Butterflies. And that is what they look like for the outlined ones, and then these are the solid ones. This is going to be a good kit, I can tell. Oh yeah. And then these are to use on the box, and they gave us 3 instead of 1, which is great. And I can see already where I can be snipping this into pieces to make more cards. This is for the box, the wrap. And let's see what the card base is. So the card bases, there's this style, the splatter. Now, even though the back side isn't colored, it is of the same color of white as the rest, which is nice, and that is always my preference because the basic white is a little bit creamier. More box decorations. Oh yeah. And then even more. So in this case, if you don't want to use this, you can either add a strip of white with wording with the coordinating Coastal Cabana or whatever color this is, and then on the back you could choose to use this side and stamp something on it. So all of these labels can be used. And I feel something on here. Here's the last 3 colors of the card bases with a giant butterfly for the box, and I really like these little floral die cut pieces, and then small butterflies. I think I'm going to have an easy time with this kit, so I'm going to not be doing the instructed projects. I will be going away to contemplate the alternatives. Of course, as always, I will come back to show any interesting tidbits of the pieces that I'm putting together, and then I'll come back and do the mix and match. And at the very end, as always, I have my showcase showing all of the different combinations that I can think of with the materials that I prepared. So this is just a monster kit, as you can see. It does say it's 9 cards, 9 envelopes, and of course the box. Stampin' Up! Coordinating colors is Bermuda Bay, not Coastal Cabana. Bermuda Bay, Blackberry Bliss, Bumblebee, Melon Mambo, Petal Pink, Pool Party, and Poppy Parade. So stay tuned, and I'll be back with some alternatives. Alright, I am back to share some of the prep that I am working on. So the first thing I want to share is with this extremely fat trim, which unless you're going to lay it flat on the card in like a vertical or horizontal, I think that the best way to deal with this trim to be able to use it for card making is, so you could do something solid. But what I went ahead and did is cut it into strips. The sides, this is one of the sides, which then will have, as I pulled it apart, I ended up with these very thin strands. This is a middle piece that has not been pulled anymore, and it has some rough edges. This was a middle piece that I pulled in the middle, and it broke into two, and I like these breaks intermittently. So these might get tacked down as is, and then these could be made into knots or bows, or I could then, with this sample, I could go ahead and make longer pieces that I can arrange, or maybe make into a bow. So that's ideas for dealing with that extra fat trim. As I picked out all of the pieces, I saw the stencils that I could make from the negatives, which is something I have done pretty often. So I went ahead and stencilized only one section here. I cut off from the full sheet of butterflies. The fatter butterflies, these colored ones, I did not feel looked butterfly-esque enough, but the 6 pieces that cut this butterfly are these pieces. I went ahead and protected the edges with some blue tape. You can already see they have been colored, and I will share that with you shortly. There's this giant butterfly. So what I've done with this, I think the best use of him or her is to flip it over and use it as a stencil, covering a portion of a piece of cardstock as a background. Then the final stencil bit, I've used these 3 strips as well as the 3 flowers. So the next thing, and I will get back to the stencils in a second. So looking at these very delicate flowers, I thought about stenciling them, but I thought, oh, these are very dainty. What they are supposed to go on is on this card. So instead, I used these in pieces and I cut them. These 2 are not cut from them, they are from something else. But here is one section cut, another section where I just took the butterfly. This actually is the center of this, and there are 3 sections, so I'm going to show you what one arrangement I thought would look nice, and that is taking this sectioned piece where that looks pretty choppy right here, put it over the base background that goes with this, and then just putting the word hope over all those cuts, and that would be one card. So that is what I was thinking for those very dainty die cuts. And now let's get back to some stenciling. Here is stenciling. I am using the blending brushes. So this is just a single color just to get started, and I am going to do some stamping on this in a second. And then on the back side I did many different colors. So I pulled a lighter tone that was in the family of the Blackberry Bliss that's not on the list of colors, and that's Fresh Freesia, and that makes this kind of grayish neutral color using the flowers. I did it also in the lines. I just like it as a soft tone. I'm afraid the Blackberry Bliss would be way too dark. I did not use Pool Party, but I did use Bermuda Bay, Mango Melody, and Melon Mambo. to do this multi-part stenciling, and I think that the stencils are a really good extension of this kit, so definitely keep that in mind. And now I'm going to do some stamping. Once I find the stamps, they're right here. I'm gonna pick, you could easily pull from either other paper pumpkin kits or other stamp sets. You know, these will all make really good happy birthday cards, hello cards, any of the sunshine or cheerful cards. These sentiments are all about hope and the just a note. So I would be pulling some other sentiments in for happy birthday, thank you, hello, just because, just a note. So I'm gonna just do a couple of really basic cards with these stencils, being very careful with the Blackberry Bliss. And let's pull a different sentiment. Let's try this big sentiment. And I think this placed right over the butterfly will be awesome. Your Blackberry Bliss spot will be extremely juicy and very potent. So once I stamp this, I will be setting it aside. I will probably go get my heat gun and will encourage it to dry. So these are my beginner stamping ideas I like to throw out there for people. Very nice. I will take pictures of these in the showcase. So that is as far as I have gotten thus far, and now I'm going to start doing some more assembling. I'm probably going to spend a little time finding some supplemental sentiments to go with this for the traditional happy birthday, thank you, etc. And I'll come back with some more mixing and matching as I come up with it, so stay tuned. I am back, and I now have a whole bunch of focals. My goal for this kit is to not use any other pieces other than the stamp sets that I used to extend the stamps into the birthday realm. So I will discuss and show the stamp set that I chose. It was one of those, hey, it's really close to the front, it has a lot of different sentiments. These sentiments on Welcoming Woods fit really nicely with the little pieces that we have. The Hello Friend fits perfectly on the small label. The Best Wishes fits great on the round. If I can get it. The round shape. I used the Happy Birthday on one of the 3 long translated strips that are for the box. So I made 3 happy birthday sentiments, but all of these fit very nicely. I even used the good luck on one. So I used this. I also did a couple using Biggest Wish to show that the very large die cuts that have on the front the word hope in 3 languages also makes a very nice happy birthday. This was a reject one, but I have a couple that passed muster to use. And then there is also this stamp set, Threw It Together, that is perfect, so encouraging sentiments that would work very nicely as well. So I thought I would not do embossing folders and colored cardstock, which is something I pretty much always do. So I had to like draw the line at some point, because this kit is so extensive in the things that it can do that it really works well with all of the different backgrounds that it came with. So I won't be doing any extended backgrounds, though I did take one of the backgrounds and cut it diagonally just to kind of show that you can do some things with the existing backgrounds to extend them. So I'm going to get moving on to showing you these focals that I'm working on, and then I will go away and do the showcase. When I actually get to putting these together, I will probably bring in some extra cardstock so that I have enough to extend to the amount of cards that I believe this kit can make. It's one of those kits that can easily make probably upwards of 30 different cards if I use some additional cardstock. So one of the layouts that I have, and I will show you the different things that I did with the trim. I actually took this trim that I had made a strip of, and then I wrapped and tied a bow with the 2 rows of twine. I did that on a couple of different focals. This one is a longer one, it's a little bit messier, and I purposefully left all the edges really frayed looking. And this one is one of the smaller pieces I had left, so I also left it pretty frayed, but I cut it shorter to be on this. This focal is one of the last ones that I was working on, and I haven't attached all of the bits together yet. And I do plan on, with this particular one, it's going to have a yellow flower with a matching yellow butterfly. I may even take these, because they all have so many different components, some of them are not attached. I have a bunch of little baggies, and I will probably bag the components for each of the sentiment focals because of the extended pieces that I have. So this is the first one. I'm probably just gonna leave them. They're kind of all around my desk. My husband actually made note as he walked by that a bomb has gone off on my desk. So I cleared it off enough for the demonstrating of these, but all around the perimeter, a bomb looks like it has gone off. The second focal that I wanted to share is one that actually coordinates. It's the full floral element that lays over the top of this, and what I did is I cut it in half. Well, I cut it into thirds. I made this into 3. I added the word hope just as it is, and then I made a nice big traditional bow, because underneath here there aren't any actual cuts, but it's a little gap, so I'm filling that gap up. And then I would finish this one off with some sequins, and I would call this one done. So this one is, and this was one of the very first ones that I did. The next interesting design that I made, and this one uses, let's see how it goes on this background. So this one has tacked with mono glue 3 different points where this zigzag trim goes, and then the idea was to, wherever it looks trimmed up is where I would be putting the different sentiment pieces. So I can take any number of these, like this particular one works very well popped up, and the fact that these 3 circular ends don't they just kind of are hanging out there is not so noticeable. And then this little guy actually is the centerpiece. So this fits very nicely on either of the backgrounds. And I will take the diagonal background that I cut, and I will take this and slide it, and you'll see that it actually pops way more on the white and the teal. So if I were to put this together for giving, I would probably put it on this color arrangement rather than the pink, because it is a lot of pink already on it. So that one was also, I think this was the second one, because I was working with the 3 pieces that I had cut up. So some of these focals might come back for later pieces. A third focal I made also with a loose strand of the trim, is also tacked down with mono glue, and then it's the one that I said the best wishes fits nicely. I will trim up. This piece will go on a background for picture taking. It'll probably go on white. If I find a piece of white, here's one. But if I were to build this up to be a finished card, I will probably add one more thin matte. I might even look and see if I have a foil. These are a mauvish, bluish foil. They kind of are iridescent and change colors, so I will see if I have some sort of foil to put underneath. And I might not do it for the photos. It might be when I get back into this kit to put all of the cards together. The next one is, there was a tag that was provided that is for, there was just one tag, and I went ahead and popped the hole a little bit bigger. And then I have some arranged elements offset. I will probably pop up the tag so that it'll be 2 layers of popped up, and then there's enough room behind these butterflies that I can also pop them up as well. So I may shorten the tag ends a little bit, but I left it messy because I kind of like that look. I think this is one of my favorites. And since there's only one tag, I haven't attached anything to it yet, because I'll probably play around and decide on my favorite and then pull the trigger and actually adhere these elements to it. I have this focal that the butterflies are offset. Does not go with the pink, does it? So let's pick a different. I still think that this will look nice. With a diagonal cut. And I have to decide on some sequins and the trim. I have a bunch of pieces of trim left over. I have a really messy, this actually is a bow. Probably would not be appropriate on here. I will pick something thicker that matches it better. I then also envisioned this particular element and what it was originally made for. If I bring out the 2 clean and simple cards that I made, I actually made 2 more. I have to see if I can find them. Oh, I see it. Okay, so this one is what I made on one side with stenciling, and this was on the other side with stenciling. So for this side with stenciling, there is, I am looking for the trim piece. This trim piece will go perfectly So I will cut another one to go on this. And then on the other side is where if I want to step it up, I can add a more detailed, layered, popped up, but still soft. I think that's a very nice card for somebody who likes butterflies. It's a perfect butterfly card. And then the last, going back to simple, I created just a single, this is a stamped off, all three pieces are stamped off once. And then on the back side, I did a multicolor, and I made a shadow on this Blackberry Bliss. And that concludes this month's Paper Pumpkin, and I believe it's a great kit. It's very feminine. I will say there would be very difficult to make it masculine between the butterflies and the flowers, though you could use these elements and the stamps and make a more masculine looking card, straying away from using the butterfly and floral pieces. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can leave them here on my video or over on my blog. I will have the supplies used, like the stamp sets that I recommend, over on my blog as well. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching. All right, we just got home from disc golf, and you have to hear the bugs. This is their full sound. It sounds like I'm on a Star Trek ship, and the phasers are on full bore. So this is what we get to listen to, off and on, in the morning and in the evening. Crazy.